words of the fantastic band that Slows Down Crows. Hey guys, great to meet you.
You
Good
too,
to
brother.
meet you as well.
How did the band come to be formed?
Ah, man. Myself and Ron known each other since we were kids in school, infant school actually. So I don't know, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Met up with China in comprehensive school. Formed our kind of first band, so to speak. Long story short, we kind of toured quite a bit around the UK and did a lot of gigs in Wales and stuff. Went up to London and everywhere, and then we had a massive, long 10-year break.
Yeah, man.
And met up again and started recording music. Those Damn Crows.
How did the name come about?
That was my dad around about the same time, like Shane said. Got the band back together with the better lineup, the right lineup. And we were doing that thing where you're trying to work out the band names, you got like, I don't know if you've been in a band, you in a band? And that's probably one of the hardest things when you're trying to think of a name. And we had loads of names, and just one day my dad was shouting at the birds in the garden, and I went back to the guys, I thought it was a song, and it turned out to be a band name, and it kind of stuck. So yeah, Those Damn Crows.
You formed in Bridgend, also home to Bullet for My Valentine and Funeral for a Friend. Is it a really good place for rock bands or just a really big town?
It's a very small town, but just packed with talent, really. There was always sort of jam nights going on around our area, Porthcawl, Bridgend, Swansea, Cardiff. So it was amazing live scene when we were kids. Not so much now, but the bigger clubs that are still there.
You're right. And I think it was a time as well, because Nirvana had kind of exploded, Metallica were massive, and we all went to the same school. So it's like Shane said, it's not a very big town. There are many comprehensives like around our area, but we just happened to go to the same school as like some of the Bullet Boys, So music scene kind of excelled from there. It was a great time, I'd say, between late 90s and up to about 2008, 2009 for Bridgend. It was a really thriving, wasn't it?
It was ridiculous. There was so much talent.
Multiple venues. So it was multiple venues. It was an excellent scene. It was a great place to be.
What have been your inspirations?
Ronnie just named a few then. I mean, grunge was huge, Nirvana, Green Day were massive for us, Pearl Jam, all the usual stuff. But my dad was a bit of a musician, so I heard sort of country music at an early age and played guitar from that, based around that loosely. But it wasn't until my teenage years got into the bands that we just mentioned, and it's grown ever since, really. But
yes, echoing what Shane said, really. I think it was bands like Queen, but when we were in school, the bands that kind of gripped us to be like in a band with our mates and stuff were Nirvana. Can never take that away. It was like Nirvana, and then you kind of start looking down the rabbit hole of bands like Metallica, or who's into this band. I think Sepultura were massive at one point. So it was the case of everybody be checking out bands and constantly feeding each other cassettes with mixtapes and stuff. So you were always hearing different bands. So where like Spotify now is rich with playlists, but back then it was kind of cool because somebody would give you a cassette and there might be like 3 or 4 bands on there that you've never heard of, and then all of a sudden you'd go down the music store and buy their vinyl, buy their CDs, and spend all day pretty much kind of flicking through and researching bands. Good times, man.
You won the Hard Rock Hell Rising Star Award in 2018. How proud are you of that?
It was cool, man. We've done the Hard Rock Hell shows a couple of times, a couple of years previous.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You just go and play as many shows as possible, and we were lucky to be invited to play at Hard Rock Hell, and then a few years later pick up an award. Very cool. And gone on to bigger and better things from that, really. So that was very cool.
All right. How hard has the COVID pandemic been on the band?
It's been tough for everybody. We had just released our album at the time, February 2019. God, seems ages ago.
Yeah.
Did one small tour, headline tour, sold out, and then the pandemic happened. So it was extremely frustrating. But hey, people were dying. So it was, put things in perspective. We just bide our time and just worked on more material, believe it or not, for another album, because that's all we could do at the time. So But yeah, it was very frustrating, but everyone's in the same boat. We're just glad now, man, that we're back doing what we do.
We're really fortunate because we kept busy as well, and I don't know, I just think it's the band from top to bottom. It was the motivation just to keep trying to do something, to think of something that we could do, to keep ourselves busy. I know that's easier said than done, and I know there's a lot of bands out there that tried that and it didn't work for them, but we were just fortunate that everything we seemed to kind of come up with would give us that routine, give us that positive vibe to push on and push forward. So we did like streams, which was new to us without an audience. We travelled to Germany, incredible. Yet again, something that we'll always look back on and think, where a lot of people had quite a quiet time, we were very, very busy. Weekly show, and then straight out the gates to perform for everybody, like, you know, so because we kind of kept that kind of thing going, like, you know.
As the sales are pointing to return, how did you feel for during that time?
The support has been incredible. Like I said, we've done our first tour, it was sold out immediately. We were kind of bowled over with that. And then, the sales were incredible. The love we had for the album was incredible. And rock got right behind us and stuff, so radio stations were playing us. And it's just then, you know, it was so frustrating we couldn't go out and do live shows and perform those songs we'd written for the second album. That was extremely frustrating. So only now we're starting to do that, which is amazing fun. People get to hear them live. Again, to hear people's reactions to it, because, you know, we produced this album, and like I said, one small tour, and you can't really judge really if the people are loving it and what's their favourite songs live and stuff. But now we're experiencing that, and it's incredible. It's been nothing but love for the album. It's been immense.
Was it hard to find your rhythm performing live for the first time after all?
It's a difficult one because, yeah, I think individually we were always kind of busy, like in our home studios. Like, I know for myself, I was practicing along the drums. Shane was doing the same piano, and singing constantly. We were doing demoing, but I don't know. It's a really weird one because we were just always doing something. So I think we kind of aired that out in the practice room, didn't we? When we got together in the practice room, we just worked out how loud we are because we got used to our own individual space. When we got in the room, we were like, oh my God, that's really loud, like, you know. But yeah, we adjusted pretty quick. We had to, because we had 2 or 3 days notice, and we were doing the Planet Rocks the Asylum, which was televised.
Just a live stream, and that was really strange, you know, recording us, and people watching at home, but we were playing to an empty hall, so it was like there was no clapping, there was no halfway through a song of the crowd involved, so that was really strange, but at the same time amazing experience, and just made us realize how much we love this game, this live music where you're feeding off the crowd and stuff. So yeah, it's strange times, but
really hard as well because we couldn't practice in Wales.
Yeah, that's another thing. We had to travel the country. Yeah.
You forget that, because we were on about this when we were coming back in just now, and you just forget of how much and how many obstacles have been in our way. So we couldn't actually rehearse because the regulations were different in Wales to England. England were just starting to move forward. So I think we did that bill with Stormbroken and Wagons, and we explained to them we literally had, like, I think a practice before, which we were lucky, kind of crossed the border, did a jam, and we were away then.
Are most of your songs based on real life events?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, you know, I've always kind of thought, and we've always kind of thought, the best songs are the ones that are on, you know, true to yourself. Like, you know, if you've experienced something or you've felt something, I think I'm a true believer in that. Like, I grew up listening, like I said earlier, listening to country songs, and you listen to every country song, they're talking about their dog, or they're talking about their wife who left them. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of the basis, the foundations of storytelling, and that's what I've always loved. So yes, but when you write songs, you know, you can exaggerate, you can just make things more generalistic as opposed to specific things. But the feelings, 100%. I got a vibe off our first. 9 times out of 10, the music always comes first because you get an idea what the feel of the song is. what everyone brings to that song, and then writing lyrics to it makes much more sense than actually writing lyrics and then trying to match the music. We've done it a couple of times. Say It on the first album, there was an idea, a concept of the song, and then the aggressive riff came in because of that was put in place, the idea of the song. Stuff like that happens, but 9 times out of 10, like I said, it's always, the feeling always comes from there. I think that's what connects with people, you know.
There's been a gap on the scene, on the UK chart scene, more or less since The Darkness. Is this something you would aim to fill?
Man, we love The Darkness. We've just played with them recently up in Steelhouse Festival. Incredible musicians, lovely guys too. And we had Dan on our Crowcast, and we interviewed him, had a good chat. Man, I mean, I don't particularly like, you know, fill in the gap or blah blah blah. We are what we are. We do what we do. People responding to it, it's incredible. I think that's the most important. Not trying to be anybody else. We're not rewriting the book though. At the same time, you know, we are rock and roll, but we're not trying to be anything different. We're just being honest. 5 lads from Wales getting on stage, enjoying themselves, and hopefully connecting with people. And it's just steamrolled into something right now with momentum and stuff. And people singing the songs back. It's wonderful, man. So that's the only thing we're really focusing on. We're not trying to be anything else or fill a gap, so to speak, you know.
Are you looking to embark on a tour of America? Is this a market you would want to break into?
For sure. Yet again, and it's going to be a running theme, I think, for the next year of interviews. We had plans to possibly look at that route, and it was leaked, I think, genuinely through COVID or through just on the point of no return release. So there was obviously talks of us going to America, but I think it'll definitely be pursued. There's nothing planned at the moment. Everything's still a bit up in the air. Everybody's kind of trying to keep fit and healthy. The world has to keep moving, and everybody has to try and rebuild what was broken. So fingers crossed we can start looking at those options in 2022 and further on. But the dream and the goal, like Shane said, is the charts are great, and we were humbled to be in the top 20, but the main mission is to reach as many people as possible, to really grow that experience of our concert, so perform to as many people as we can, whether that's in the UK, Europe, Asia, America, everywhere. That's the goal, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If you guys were asked to represent the UK for Eurovision, would you do it?
I was really into that in COVID, I gotta be honest. But that's a tricky one, that is.
The truth is, right, I would do it for the crack, but if you're going into that thinking, you got any chance being the UK, I don't know what it is. Anybody from the UK just... I think
it depends on the costume as well.
Politics.
Do you know what I mean? It depends on the costume. We'd have to have a good costume for that. I was looking, and I think it's all about the sparkles,
it's not about the music, is it?
It's not about the music. It is about the costume. It's about the costume. So depending on what the shoe wear is, maybe they can give me a couple more inches in height. But yeah, maybe some bright jackets and stuff.
You just want to be in Kiss too, by the sound of it.
I think so, no, that's right.
Nice. I mean, I do it for the crack, but yeah, in all seriousness, the UK bands just don't do well.
It was crazy.
Politics, they hate us.
It was crazy. I don't mind saying that. And it's fantastic what they do. And do you know what? I think if the schedule allowed it and we ever did it, I'd probably go there and have a few beers. But it was bonkers. It's the first time I sat down, yet again with the Crow family. I think a few of us went on the socials kind of connecting with them, because it seems to be in everybody's diary every year. And it was the first year I had time to sit down and really see what it was about. And there was a lot of sparkles and costumes, and I was like, wow. So I was more interested in wow, this is, and I think there's a group came out looking like a load of Ned Flanders from Simpsons and stuff, and so it was bizarre, yeah. Italian rock and roll one as well. And that's all I'll say about that.
Madness.
What's next for those damn Crows?
Do a gig in about an hour. Just as many shows as possible. As Ronnie said, the world is finding its feet, hopefully. There's so much penciled in. but it is penciled in, you know, because there's no commitment at the moment for next year, because things might not be where they need to be for us to go to America, Germany, you know, Europe. But that is penciled in. That's the plan. It's just to do as many shows, festivals, the big festivals. We're definitely playing Download Main Stage next year.
Yes, that is pending.
That's
unannounced.
pending.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a Sharpie, black Sharpie. That is not coming out of the diary.
That is not coming out the diary. I think 3 posters we've been on so far. So.
Yeah.
And incredible now, like Shinedown have been added to the main stage, and obviously we're on Maiden's Day as well, which is incredible. But yeah, and we got a few dates in November. So we finished the Wildhearts tour. We come off, we've got a few headline shows, starting in Derby, then going to Inverness for Monster Fest, down into Sheffield, and then Planet Rockstock as well. So they're pending, they're happening. So I think we've got to look at that. And then, like Shane said, we're working on new material and see if we can get some dates and stuff for that as well.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man.
Thank you as well. Pleasure to meet you, man.
Thank you.
Pleasure
Thanks,
to meet
dude.
you.